the Prime Minister's office had a meeting and Niti Aayog was part of it. You were there in that meeting where the next generation of reforms were discussed and a 100-day agenda was set out. Ministries have been asked to come back with the ideas and their game plan. What are these next generation reforms going to focus on, and what are they going to look like?
So there are a whole bunch of things we need to do. A lot of it requires really straightening out the 1,000 small things that add friction to the system. So, usually the newspaper headlines focus on what is called structural reform, which are big structural things like introduce GST or create the insolvency and bankruptcy code or shift to inflation targeting and so on. Now, we can do some more of those things, but the bulk of what really causes friction in the system is not these big things. It's actually a myriad small things. So you have to really sit in there and do these things which I call process reforms. And so these process reforms are very important, and they can be of various kinds. One is that they are government processes that can be, there could be a law, there could be a regulation, there could be an administrative process. Those can be smoothened out. Then we also need to go and look at the structure of the government itself, like the central government. There are all kinds of bodies in the government. Are these bodies needed? Are there outdated bodies you can shut down? Is the distribution of civil servants correct for today's needs? So all of these kinds of things are important parts of process reforms of the system or reforms of government architecture. So these are the kinds of things that we need to do, and some of them are pretty major efforts.
So when can we expect some movement on this?
So we are doing that. By the way, this is not new. We have been doing it anyway. I myself been involved in several of these. There has now been a committee set up under Mr. Rajiv Gauba, the former cabinet secretary. He was now he's a member of Niti Aayog. You may have seen so he will be looking at some of the
process reform,
the deregulation part of it. So process reform is a big area, it's a general word. So there's the space for deregulation. So particularly for business ease, that bit he is looking at.
Okay.
Then there are a whole host of other things, ease of living type issues. I'll give you one example. I had myself written about, for example, EPFO.
Right.
So I have made quite a big fuss about it, and I hear the Labour Ministry is now working to sort that out. I am myself working in a similar thing which relates to the IEPFA, that's the Investor Education and Protection Fund. That's where unclaimed shares go to die. So if you ever have unclaimed shares you inherited or something like that, it is impossible to get your money out. So that fund has got something almost like a lakh crore worth of lying there, and they get about 8,000 crores worth of shares of dividends coming in new, plus new stuff gets piled onto it. So its corpus is growing, but they are only able to give back in any year about 2,000-3,000 crores worth. So I looked into the matter, and this is what I discovered. First of all, the system has three different websites. One website where the claimant puts their stuff in. Once all the approvals goes, there are two separate websites, one for giving their money back and the other for giving the dividends back, which is a separate website altogether, and they don't talk to each other. So
sounding like
a
nightmare.
No, yes, wait, this is not the end of it. Then the person has to manually, the officials have to manually take all the information from one, put it in the other in order to give the share back. So then I mapped the entire process, and I discovered that the whole process from the point you put in your application to the point you get your money is 25 steps. If on the 24th step you make a mistake,
you go back.
You go back to step 1. So it's like snakes and ladders, except it doesn't have ladders. Okay, so it's an unbelievably inefficient process. So I am working right now with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and smoothing this out. By end of this year, the new integrated website, so those 3 websites will get integrated. And this 25 steps, first we'll bring it down to 15 and then ultimately to maybe single digits. And smoothen it out. So what will happen is what used to take years to do, we can do in days if not weeks.
And what about the shares that are lying already?
So many of the existing stuff will onboarded onto this new system.